Angela Yee. I'm here on a Wealth Wednesday with my girl, Stacey Tisdale.
Happy Wealth Wednesdays, everybody, and we are going big. This Wealth Wednesdays, we are going so big. We are going bigger than we've gone in a long time, and we have Mr. Derrick Hayes for you. And Derrick is the founder and CEO of Big Dave's. Now we're going to talk about a lot of
Big
Dave's cheesesteaks. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Say the Philly without the
Big
cheesesteaks.
Dave's cheesesteaks. This is not your ordinary cheesecake. This sandwich was ranked top 10 sandwiches in the world by World Food Champions. And Derrick's been honored in Forbes 2020 and 2021 Next 1000 to Watch. You've done a lot since then. You've been an NAACP Image Awards honoree. You're going to learn all about businesses, franchising. I know you have 10 franchise locations in Central Florida now, 5 in South Carolina. Really one of the fastest restaurant chains in the country. And you always talk about you got there because it's about purpose.
Yes.
Tell us about your purpose and about Big Dave's and that connection.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell y'all thank y'all for having me. Fresh from Martha's Vineyard, so
Yes.
I got to get out of this vacation mode.
Oh, my gosh.
Which you're not. But
No, I'm not.
Martha's
I'm
Vineyard
not.
is a vibe. Let me tell you, my
It
goddaughter, she goes to Spelman, but before she goes back to school, she is stopping in Martha's Vineyard. I just want to live her life for a couple of days.
Yeah, right.
Because she's having a time.
It spoils you. I mean, you see, a bunch of people that look like you, people that don't look like you, all coming together, celebrating one thing, having a good time on vacation. There was a lot of panels, a lot of information picked up. So I challenge anybody, who hasn't ever been to Martha's Vineyard to get there.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I've been
and
once.
what was your question?
Your why.
My why?
Purpose.
Look, I still got
Your
Martha's Vineyard on me.
Obviously.
My purpose was my father. I mean, that was legitimately the reason why I started the business. I mean, I watched my dad take his last breath in front of me. But before he died, I promised him I was going to do the right thing. I was going to break my generational curses. And I was going to stay focused. Now, needless to say, 10 years of, blood, sweat, and tears building this business, a little over 10 years now. It's been a roller coaster ride. It hasn't been easy, but I know that my purpose was always stronger than anything of defeat. And I feel like when your purpose is stronger than defeat, you will never let it defeat you. So even in my hardest moments, I always seen the end of the road. I always knew that eventually people will start paying attention. Eventually people will see what I'm doing. Eventually people will see what I mean to the community. And not only just that, I represent everything when they say a kid can't do. I come out of a very dangerous place in West Philly, very low income community. When they say the whole gentrification thing, I was there way before that. So I seen, a lot of things happen in my life. And now I'm starting to see communities, change today, and I'm able to, spread the word. And I'm challenging myself to keep on going, to pushing kids forward, because I know it's not the lack of household. It's really just the resources, a lot of them are trapped in a box. We said that they're bad kids. We said that they're a lot of things, but y'all looking at that. I got 40 tattoos on my body. I come from the same environment they do, and now I'm ranked 6th in the nation in fast casual, the first African-American to ever do it.
Yeah,
A lot-
that's so true what you say about kids too, because a lot of times it's just where their energy is directed toward.
Yeah.
Those kids that y'all say are the bad kids are the ones that actually can be the most intelligent, the smartest. It's just who's around them, what they're exposed to.
Yes.
One thing could change your trajectory. For you, would you say that one thing was your father when he passed, or was it a spark in you before that you knew that at some point you would be an entrepreneur?
I think it was instilled in me my whole life, because I've seen men work Monday through Friday to take care of families. But my father was the strong reason, because it's like I honored this man just as much as I honored God. It's my best friend. He was a person I would run to any situation I was in, anybody I would ask for advice. So when he wasn't there anymore, I wanted to make his name live on. So I always told myself that, those blue signs on those X's, when you see the McDonald's and all them, you're going to see the Big Dave cheesesteaks, because I wanted my dad to live on in every city and state around America. And right now I'm on a trajectory to do that. And it's really, I tell people, I always say online, I'm building $1 billion company. It's not for the financial gain. I know if a kid from West Philly out the ghetto build $1 billion company, I'm about to motivate kids globally, not just nationally, globally, because they're going to say, wait, he only got a high school diploma? Wait, he ain't go to college? Wait, how did he do this with no resources? So all of those things is just going to motivate them to do the same thing. And it could take the footsteps that I've taken. I wouldn't want them to take all the way the same road that I've taken, because I felt like some of these steps I've taken, you know, they was big shoes to fill. I mean, I just never took no for an answer. And honestly, you really just got to get out your own way and have thick skin, because when you walk in certain rooms, the judgmental content is already at the front door.
How did you do this with such limited resources?
I'm a hustler. That's just really what it is. I mean, I come from a place where, you know, anybody know Philly. Philly people are hustlers. We go-getters. We grind. Our demeanor is strong. But also, I believe in myself. I believe in myself more than anybody can believe in me. You know, a lot of people wait for people to believe in them, and they get that spark and say, I feel good. Such and such said this about me. No, I don't care if nobody clap for me, nobody put water in my soil. My battery charged because I know me. When you know you'll be okay. I tell anybody to challenge themselves to define themselves before they define somebody else.
You know, I'm from New York, so we're used to driving. I would literally drive to Philly to get cheesesteaks, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of times I've done that, but you opened your first location in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I don't know how popular cheesesteaks were in Atlanta
They wasn't.
when you went there and did that. But what is that process like of bringing something that's unfamiliar to a place where you're not from there, but now you have to get people used to wanting to get something? And it was in a gas station,
Yeah,
right? Was the first place that you opened up an actual physical location. So tell me how you managed to even market yourself and overcome that.
Well, for one, I actually started in a gas station outside of the city, which was like 35 minutes from Atlanta. So that was the one challenge I had against me. But nobody wanted to lease me a space, so I had to take what God gave me. I'm like, look, I got the product. I know I got the hustle. Eventually, they're going to come. But it took me a year and a half to start getting traffic, any traffic, and that was a hard thing for me. You know, I had spent many days in my car crying and praying to God because I took my last money and put it into this business. But I always liked to shout Eve out. Eve, she was shooting barbershop, and she came and bit a cheesesteak, and that was like literally the breaking point of my career, because when she ate that cheesesteak, she put it on her social media platforms, and I had 500 people in the parking lot the next day. I mean, more traffic than I can handle. I tell people all the time, you can work your butt off much as you want. If you're not ready for it, you will fold. So always be ready when that call comes, and I was ready for that phone call. And from year to year, 2018, I ranked number 7 in the world in sandwiches, not just cheesesteaks and sandwiches. And that gave me like a big opportunity to start being able to scale the brand, because now, you know, like when you're a new business, it's hard to lease spaces. Like tenants don't want to give it to you. They're like, hey, well, how many locations you got?
Right.
And if you're like, yeah, I got one location in the gas station, like, all right, well, come see me later, you know, you get a couple more. And now I'm anchor tenants in most of the places I'm in. You know, I've seen my whole life transition in the last like four some odd years, just like year over year, getting more opportunities. But most of all, I ain't taking no for an answer. Like, I'm really knocking on these doors saying, listen, I deserve this. And if you don't want to give it to me, you're going to feel it when you see it, because I gave you everything that I was supposed to. It's like somebody coming to you right now saying they qualified to come talk on this show, and you know that they have all the accolades and all the special things that it takes to be on this platform, and you don't want to give it to them. So who wrong is that? You know, that's the way I look at it. I say, you know, they're not going to keep locking me out these rooms, and right now they don't have no choice.
You know, Derrick, there's a lot of people who are starting their own businesses and starting where you started, right? Where it might not be any customers for a while. You're still trying to like get it going. You said it took a year and a half until that happened. So were you the person there that was physically having to work? Because that's also something that for entrepreneurs to understand, that a lot of times when you're launching a business, you have to physically be present and do the work. And sometimes you might not even have other employees. So I just want you to talk about those early days, because for somebody else starting, this could be an inspiration to them to know this is because they could see you now and be like, yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah.
He's got this platform. He's all over the place. I see him at InvestFest.
Yeah.
He just came from Martha's Vineyard. But to know what happened before that, I think is important.
Oh, man, that's actually good, because that's what I really care about. I care about people seeing the seed before the flower's grown, because it was a lot of work. So I actually I'm going to pat myself on the back right now, because I actually started in a gas station, 749 square feet, with a broken fryer and a broken grill. And at that time, I didn't realize that I was even putting my own life in danger the way things was hooked up in there. I just was hustling. I'm like, plug the cord in, you know, I'm just whatever. I'm just winging it.
Shoot.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But at the same time, like, you know, the people, they seen so much hustle in me. They seen so much like grind, and that they wanted to see me make it. And I think the people kept me strong throughout the years of what it was. But most of all, I think I think it was just honestly me wanting to get to a certain point that I never been. I wanted to challenge myself. But in the gas station, it was like, I felt like I was on an island by myself because I felt like nobody was paying attention. And I'm like, I'm this young kid from West Philly. I got all this traffic, but I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm hustling. You know, I'm just looking for that right person to come along and say, I'm going to help you get to the next point. And that didn't happen for me until later on. But I had to take all of those years and just, you know, at nighttime, I'm reading tutorials. I'm just teaching myself so that now when I'm sitting at the table, I know somewhat of what I'm talking about so they could take me serious. But those were the best years of my career because those were the years where I was challenging myself the most. Because it's easier to make something out of yourself when the world know who you are and you getting opportunities. But when you ain't getting opportunities and you hustling and nobody sees the hard work, nobody sees the grind, and you looking at your reviews, every one of them, and you every time you see a 5-star, you jumping out your seat because you just like, yes, they love it. You know, and that feeling is very hard to get back. But most of all, I was taking care of individuals that was in that community. Like it was guys who was divorced or, you know, a wife deceased or whatever, and they would come and get, you know, big days 3 or 4 times a week. And I had personal relationships with these people. And nobody cooked for me. I worked my butt off 7 years, 7 days a week to build this business. I just got off the grill 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
So, you know, you can't take your hand off the wheel. A billionaire said this to me. He said, listen, do you want to build a famous mom and pop or you want to scale this brand? And I said, I want to scale this brand. That was always my goal. He said, well, in order to scale this brand, you got to learn the brand. Right now, you teaching inside the facility, you working with the soldier, but now you got to run the machine. And running the machines take you to learn profit and loss, COGS, EBITDA, all of these things to know what you're doing, putting the right C-suites together, the right people that's going to help you scale. Because let me tell you something, loyalty is one thing, but if you don't want to know what the hell you're doing, loyalty don't mean nothing in scaling a brand. You really got to know what you're doing. And I go so hard off of loyalty, I had to say, you know what? I got to be loyal to myself too. And being loyal to yourself is understanding that you putting people in position you know that don't have the expertise to take you to that level. The smart thing to do, I like to say, is if you believe in somebody and they going hard for you and they don't have the expertise to get there, you put somebody in front of them that can teach them and guide them so that you provide opportunities for them. And that's what I started doing.
Talk about that because you obviously had a great product you believed in, you hustled, you worked. That's very different than running and scaling a company.
Yeah, I mean,
two completely different skills, and a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in their idea, but also not realizing you have to have all those skills to run a company.
Well, you gotta have the smarts to know that you can't be the smartest person in the room. That's just all to it. I went from saying I to we, and when you get to we win, I lose. You know, I did this, I did that, and now your team looking like, well, what about when we was hustling with you doing these things we was doing with you? You want everybody to feel included. You know, you wanted to feel like a team. Like my company really run like a Fortune 500 business. I got different departments. I run a company. I'm the face of the company, but I don't run the operations. I got a president right now. I got a director of operations. I got a franchise advisor with over 100 restaurants. So like my team is really corporately sound and strong because I know when I step in those rooms and I'm going to the different levels, I'm getting that certain respect I deserve.
You know, sometimes we're so used to running our business. Like you said, it started off as a mom and pop.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're giving up control in a certain type of way because you're used to things happening a certain way and operating on that level. How was it for you mentally to be able to be like, I got to trust other people. I got to put these people in position, because sometimes we know we need to do that, but kind of letting it go is a little difficult.
It was the hardest thing, honestly. It was probably harder than anything that I ever dealt with because it's your baby. It's like letting somebody watch your child and you be like, is this person qualified to like watch my children, to spend the night and all those things? So like your business, especially a business that you put your blood, sweat, and tears in and you seeing it growing and you got to now, you know, put it in somebody else's hands. You got to make sure that they represent the same things that you represent. You got to make sure that their goals are the same goals that you want. And you also got to look at it like this. If your benefit is just a money gain or a money grab, this is not for you, because I'm looking at history. You know, even when people, you know, even in my family, you're like, hey, man, you didn't turn into a celebrity. No, I'm not. I'm legendary. I'm going to be something much bigger than any celebrity can ever put a title on. Because that's what I believe in myself. When you're looking at the Warren Buffetts, the Elon Musk, when you're looking at the Robert Smiths, the Rich Dennis, all all these people that have done things in their careers to get to a certain point, they had to do something that was uncomfortable to get there. And right now I'm going through my uncomfortable stage, and that's getting away from people that don't fit me, that don't represent me, and don't operate the way I operate. And that go from family, friends, anybody, because I'm not going to let nobody stop me from getting to the point I want to get to and how hard I work.
You mentioned being uncomfortable. Talk about an experience that you had in this whole journey this was like my big learning moment.
Well, you're looking at
really
it. You're looking at it right now. So right now, I'm in my Series A raise. I got this far without raising capital. So right now, me saying I own 100% of my company on paper, it won't look like that, that I'm raising capital now. And that's something that I got to live with and be okay with. So this next chapter of my career, I got to be okay with who I allow to be a part of this journey, and make sure that I pick the right soldiers, that I'm continuing to, move forward with this brand. It's very uncomfortable because when you're looking at VCs, private equity, whether it's friends, family, anybody that wants to join around, you want to make sure they're aligned to what you're doing and not change the culture in your business. And right now, that's something that I've never experienced right now, and I'm going into that right now. But I have the experience to know what's right and wrong for me. And I waited to get to this point to get the right evaluation I wanted. I didn't want to rush.
Right. And, you've spoken about being the face of your brand.
Yeah.
And I've known you for a while.
Yes.
And I do want to say I've always felt like you have preferred to stay in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but you are the face of your brand.
Yeah.
And so doing these interviews, I saw you on Den of Kings too.
Yeah.
So that was a really dope space.
Thank you.
To be in.
Yeah.
And I've seen you do a ton of interviews also. But was that something that you were like, because I've never felt like you were the person that wanted to be like,
I wanted to build the business
front and center.
I wanted to build the business. I felt like the talking would come later. I wanted to make sure that I had what I had to back up. It's like boxing. It's like I could knock this guy out, but if you ain't in shape and your mindset ain't there, you're not gonna win the battle. I wanted to make sure that before I got to a certain point, I was able to deliver. And it was difficult because even when I was ready, I wasn't getting the attention that I deserved and when I was putting out. I mean, I'm a black kid that been making millions and millions of dollars year over year with no big articles, no national headlines, or any of that. I mean, how can you not explore that and showcase that what's going on? But again, I'm a weapon. I understand that. So they got to hide me a little bit, because if I do come out, then I'm motivating every kid in the ghetto right now that y'all don't want to have those opportunities.
Wow. Your business really took off through the F word, franchising.
Yes.
And we talked to so many entrepreneurs, and you're thinking about, I want to start a small business. How do we get our community to kind of shift from starting small businesses to growing bigger businesses, and particularly through franchising?
Well, first of all, we're so far behind because it's less than 8% of African Americans that even own a franchise. So let's talk about the actual part of even understanding what you're trying to build, because most of us sell before we even get something powerful, because we are looking for some financial gain to make it out of our bad situations, that when we have something strong and somebody says, here's 20 million, and you take 20 million, they turn your company into a $400 million company. It happens over and over and over again. That's the reason why African Americans has never taken a fast casual brand to $1 billion, because we always sell too fast, because when it get hard, it get difficult, it get uncomfortable, and we're not willing to fight that fight. Well, I'm going to fight that fight. I'm going to do it no matter how hard it get, because I have a goal that I'm trying to get to, and it's not because of me just saying, oh, I'm different from anybody else. I understand what's happening to us. I'm in the rooms now. I understand what's going on. So I'm like that thing that you see. If I could see it, I could be it. And no matter whether it's black, white, no matter if it's Asian, no matter who it is, if I'm around the information, I know it's for me too. I soak it in like a sponge. I could have the same opportunity. So somebody can come right now, offer me 100, 200 million for my company. They can kick rocks. Because I know where I'm going.
Your plan is to have 100 franchises by the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Okay.
I'm about to make some big announcements soon.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead.
And you look so happy talking about it
Oh,
right
man,
now.
listen, I got so much stuff that I'm about to drop 2026, man. It's like, I feel like I'm still dreaming. I do, because, for a lot of years, man, I sat in a dark place because I felt like I was getting ignored with something powerful, but God say the best for last.
Let's talk a little bit more about franchising. When people think about doing it, it's a great way to have a small business in some ways. And as you franchise Big Dave's, how do you still kind of keep control?
Well, the culture. So I'm glad you actually brought that up. So, and anybody that's franchising, I think you should do the same thing. What I'm about to say. So we got something called Discovery Day. Discovery Day, you find out what the person is about, their wants. You show them the systems in your business. They go around your restaurants. But the one thing I ask before Discovery Day is over, I say, put your money to the side. What can you do to help me in resources and scale this brand? And right now I'm a young brand, and if you can't answer that, then that changes things for me, because if money gain is all you want out of this, what's going to happen when the economy ever get rough or anything like that? Are you still riding? Are you still trying to figure out ways of bringing the company together? Are you going to create opportunities to help the company scale? That's why I'm so happy and proud of Derrick Lewis down in Orlando, because Derrick was the ex-Pepsi president, but he put his money where his mouth is. He bought 10 locations. He was able to open up 2 brick and mortars. Now 3 stadiums that he's being represented in. Also, and now in South Carolina and Columbia, amazing location, one of my best locations, 1,600 square foot box, putting out record-breaking numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and give it to y'all on this. I'm about to announce Greenville, South Carolina, where I'm about to do the wall break next week.
Wow,
So,
congratulations.
Yeah. And I'm about to announce another one. That's the Georgia World Congress Center, where InvestFest is held this year. So I'm going to be doing some amazing things for InvestFest.
Oh, wow.
Year.
Perfect timing.
Breaking news,
timing.
Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes,
You heard it here.
Yes.
Next Big Days.
I had to break the news on
I'm
here,
glad.
you know.
I'm happy.
Yes,
to
I
hear
had to give
that.
it to y'all.
Huge.
PR like, oh, man, we're supposed to hold that, but it's cool. It's all good. I give it to you.
So, listen, Wealth Wednesday, breaking news exclusives.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I want to talk about philanthropy, because as
Yes.
you discussed, like also knowing that when you're talking to potential franchise owners on Discovery Day, knowing that, okay, this is not just about money. Let's put the money to the side.
Yeah.
But also you have been very intentional in making sure that you're involved in community as well.
Yes.
When you're thinking about other people to be involved in who you're doing business with, is that something you take into consideration also?
Yeah, I mean, because you want to know what these people represent. I mean, you know, I wanted to be aligned. You know, community is what built me. You know, a lot of people like to say that. It's like, it's almost like accepting in the world. You know, everybody be like, I want to thank God. It's just the natural thing to do. But community is really the right thing to do, because without community, you have no business. If these people aren't standing in your lines every day and supporting you, how are you actually making money to continue to pay your payroll, scale your brand? So I always try to give back, whether that's, you know, me helping out Carver High School a few years back, donating $20,000 into their hub, and now their hub is named after me. Whether that's giving $40,000 to an actual business in New York City, which I'm 1,000 miles away from, but, you know, I heard the story of it, this business being around for a long time, or whether that's, you know, feeding over 40 hospitals, you know, in COVID, or 1,000 people in the community during COVID every single day, or to me partnering with my wife, Pinky, with Rashad Brooks, donating his family a car, giving the school scholarships, life insurance, or paying life insurance on 25,000 black men with my wife. So I've done so many things when it comes to community, because the business is one thing, community is another thing, philanthropy is something else. That's 3 different businesses that I operate. And I'm very intentional about how I move with the community, because I always want them to understand who I am as a person first before they buying a product. So, like, I got diehard fans, like, that really love me, you know, like, really rock for me, stand for me. Anything that happens in my business, they always there. And money can't buy that, and fake words can't buy that. Real truth represents that, because when we was in COVID and we was in the middle of that pandemic, none of us ain't never experienced it before.
Right.
And I told my accountant, even when he was going against me.
You did a ton of philanthropy during
yeah,
COVID.
But you know why I did that? Because, you know, it's easy for us to get on platforms like this and run our mouth and tell people what we stand for, but who really stand for things when it really happens? I wanted to show people that's really what I stand for. That's really who I am as a person. Not even knowing what's going to happen the next day.
Yeah.
Mind you, every business at that time taking a big hit financially. I was walking in hospitals with an N95 on, feeding the doctors and nurses in there, because I'm like, hold on, we got the frontline workers right here. They don't know what's going on with COVID-19. We've never heard of it. But I want to stand there and help these people so that now they know they're not in this alone. They giving them help. Least I could do is feed them.
Wow. Now, listen, you brought up your wife, Pinky.
Did.
You know,
Yes.
I love me some Pinky.
Yes.
So I want to know, and I remember when you guys got married.
Yes.
Obviously, you guys have a growing family.
Man, we
y'all
like
don't play,
we like
by
the
way.
Brady Bunch, man.
You guys are franchising kids. So
Franchise.
Right, franchising kids. That's a clothesline.
But I wanted to ask you, like, if I feel like when I talk to Pinky, when I talk to you, it's business.
Mm-hmm.
How is it for you guys? Like, how are y'all able to switch off, talking about business
Right.
at home? And is there any type of like, all right, we got to not mention things? Or is it always like, is that your bedroom language too?
It's so normal that I don't even pay attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so Pinky, she's a big part of my motivation because she lock in sometimes when I don't feel like locking in.
Mm-hmm.
Like she might be like, D, we got to do this. And I'm like, look, man, let me get some time. I'm tired. But you know what? Tired don't make greatness. And I had to learn it over the years. Pinky is one of the hardest working people I know.
And a marketing
Yeah,
genius.
she's always locked in. She's always going for it. And I know she want the best for me. So we motivate each other. I mean, we sit there and we talk about business ideas, but most of all, we enjoy each other. It ain't always easy because we both two entrepreneurs just trying to grow. Sometimes we get in competitions, not purposely, but we got to make sure that we don't let outside people try to steer us against each other. And that's what we do the best. Because we see it coming from afar, whether we don't care who it is, whenever somebody says something versus the other company, we're looking at each other like, yeah, this person got to go.
Yeah,
Well, some of her is rubbing off on you because she's very health conscious.
Oh,
And
man,
you've
yes,
also
she do.
moved
She got
into
me
this
working
whole
out.
new
Yes, you
part of life
running
for
and-
you, right?
Yeah, for me, my dad passed away from lung cancer, and I'm 38 years old now. My metabolism slowed down, so, eating, you're going to get that gut. So I'm like, I got to start working out. I never had to worry about gaining weight ever in my life. It was always a fast burn every time I eat. I used to, tease my cousins like, yeah, y'all got to worry about that. I'm cool. But when you're almost 40, things change. And honestly, we could say that we want to get to the billion. We could say we want to get to 100 million, whatever your desire is.
Mm-hmm.
But if your health ain't there, you're never going to get to none of it.
Right.
So I had to make sure that my health come first. And I want to see my kids grow up. My dad never seen me make it past 21. I want to see my son when he get married. I got married, and that was one of the hardest things for me is not to have my dad there seeing, me love and cherish somebody in a moment. So I had to keep him there in spirit. So I actually want to see my kids go through those moments, and I want to be there. I want to play with my grandkids. I want to give them resources and opportunities. I want to say, hey, you can either go to college or take a trade or just jump in the business. But I want to be the one that's there to do it. And what I'm doing right now for my dad, it ain't easy because some days I need him. Some days I really need to talk to him. Some days I wish I was there to hug him or just have that conversation saying, this is hard. But I know when it get hard, he right there beside me every single time. So, I'm living in faith.
Some entrepreneurs, they just don't think they have time to take care of themselves. And they just don't make that link between health and the success of your business. And they think of it almost as a luxury. And it also takes a big mental health toll on them as well. What advice would you have for them?
It's going to sit you down. If you don't take your health serious, it's going to eventually sit you down. I tell you what, I've been working out now for about a month. And I'm so clear. I'm so conscious. I wake up in the morning with energy. I was burnt out. Literally, I'm not afraid to say that. For years, I was just like running off an empty tank because I'm just always working, always trying to build, always create opportunities for myself. But you just lying to yourself. You're smiling to the world, but you're crying inside because you're tired. And lately, I just been taking my health real serious, eating different. And not only that, I'm praying. I'm praying a lot more. I was just in church with Jamal Bryant for Martha's Vineyard. And Jamal, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, bro, that word hit me. Like, a lot of people, when they're in situations when we're talking about God, they get in a shame mode because they don't want to see people see them, rejoice and feel good about being in church and those things. But how can you be ashamed of God who brung you here? I had to even snap out of that myself while I'm in church in Martha's Vineyard. Everybody's sitting there, looking at each other, looking pretty and all those things. I'm here right now to get these sins forgiven and give another chance in a longer life. So I ain't here and playing around. So when, Pastor Bryant was saying that message and that word that he gave, I was 100% locked in because it resonated because we was a group of African Americans sitting at the highest high in one place in Martha's Vineyard. And all of us come from different places, different backgrounds, whether it's the ghetto or whether you came from, a silver spoon. You got to understand what it's like to not come from it and what it is to actually have it. And that was special.
This is special too. I want to say you're only 38 years old.
Yeah.
38 years young.
Yes.
I have to say, and to think of everything that you've accomplished so far, I know your dad would be extremely proud
He is.
Yeah.
to see how all of this has been unfolding for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, I'm really, I think the Martha's Vineyard trip I needed because I'm too hard on myself sometimes, and it's not because, you know, I feel like I want to just keep making announcements and keep on, you know, making things happen. I really challenge myself. So like, you know how like you look at your year over year, like what do you want to be this year? I wanted to walk into 2026 just being clear.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm always foggy. I feel like, you know, I always got multiple things going on in my mind. And I finally got a point where I say, you know what, I'm going to take a pause and learn how to just be clear and conscious for who I am. And the world going to see that later on, because when we just running and doing things, especially, you know, you've been in the media for so long. I mean,
20
think about it.
years.
Think
Sheesh.
about it. Like, you know, when do you really have time to yourself? You go to the market, you go anywhere. Oh, hey, Angela, you know, it's like somebody always saying something to you. You can't do nothing wrong because it's
Right.
going straight to the tabloids. So it's like all this pressure comes with our line of work that we want. But then we got to understand, too, we building these massive things, but we also trendsetters. So you can't ask for something and not lead the
Yeah.
right way at the same
Right.
time. So you can't ask for to be special and not come with the pressure. I like to say this. You can't ask for success if you're not willing to get hit with the bag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
you're right. And
it's
I do
gonna
have to
happen.
say, even seeing like with Pinky, and she's
Yeah.
always been really public and honest
Yep.
about things
Very
that she has to go
transparent.
through. And I
Yes.
think that's important because if not, you let other people tell the story for you. And you have to
Yes.
come forward and be like, look, I got to tell y'all what happened.
And
just
she
be
did that so well.
Mhm.
I mean, like, you know, honestly, a lot of us was like not even, you know, we was giving her different advice from, you know, from her standpoint. But that's why Pinky is who she is, because she always want to be honest with people. She's an open book. See, the thing with people got to stop doing, even with entrepreneurs, when it comes to musicians or athletes, if you put the money to the side and just look at the work and look at the person, then you won't get tricked out of anything. Because, you know, when we look at the wealthiest people in the world and we can see something come out on the tabloids about somebody not paying something, you're like, oh, that person's going broke. Y'all don't understand business.
Yeah.
You know, like business is formulas and procedures on how you keep your financial gains. If you it's like, you know, even when people file bankruptcy, right? Some of these people file in
It's a
bankruptcy
business
with
move.
200, 300 million
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
it's a
bank in the
business
bank.
move.
Look at the president. He
Yeah, I
filed
mean, shit,
how
he's
many
the-
times?
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, I think that from a culture, it's a culture of our race that when we hear anything happening when it comes to a household or a business, we think it's over instead of coming together, help uplifting that person. Because I've seen my wife raise multiple hundreds of $1,000s for people while
Yeah.
she was fighting for her own life.
I seen her go online and just
Yeah.
be like, go to this business and
Yeah.
buy it
Yeah.
out.
And
Yeah.
listen, when she did that, she raised $200,000 for that business while she was trying to get millions of dollars
For herself.
for herself.
Yeah. Sometimes people also assume that you have money
Yeah.
and they think you're in a position and you're like, the business is,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
family,
just
I
like,
mean,
know.
Keeping
family,
it going.
family do that too. I mean, like
Yeah.
right now, my family sees everything that I have going on, and nothing against them, but you know, I got a lot of employees. I got a lot of bills. It takes a lot. I got 400 employees. It takes a lot to run my company, you know. And at the same time, I'm building wealth. I didn't get to a point where I can just sit still and stagnate every day. And even if I did, I wouldn't stay stagnant. I mean, that's just not me. And you know, sitting down with Tyler Perry and Kirk Franklin and Jeezy with the Dinner Kings, it was so special for me because I got a chance to talk to, first of all, my good friend Jeezy. That's my brother. We talk about so many things on so many levels of culture, business, and relationship. Shout out to him. He always give me good advice. But Tyler Perry just told the world that he's still going through things as being a billionaire. He's still not getting the same due as being a billionaire. So how can I walk in a room saying I'm not getting what's due for me when I got a black man who's proven himself and still fighting and getting certain situations? And I think that for me humbled me and opened my eyes for a lot of things. And Kirk Franklin, just that soul, like he put into like you, like instill in you. He can give you a little bit of game, but it's like you feel it. So all of those guys, man, I appreciate just having the opportunity on my birthday, on my 38th birthday.
Wow.
I got to sit with those giants in my career, and I'm never going to forget about that moment because that's shaping my future right now.
Wow.
Oh, well, this
Last
is
thing
an-
I wanted
yeah.
to touch on with you is you have been so touched by your father, and your
Yes.
father's just coming out in every part of you.
Yeah.
How do you, when your kids look at your journey, what do you want them to have seen?
I just want my kids to respect me and love me. I feel like a lot of kids fear their parent, not love them and respect them. It's a difference. Like if you had abusive parent your whole life, you just fear them, you know, and you hate them later on. I want my kids to really honor me and see what I did was really for them, for their financial gain, for their resources, for their opportunity. Because let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys know, but we're getting replaced by robots. We're getting replaced by AI. If you ain't out here opening up a format for your kids and your family to be able to survive in, you in trouble. And right now, you know, I look at a lot of people, you know, spending days, you know, partying. Nothing against that. I spent a lot of days partying. I did a lot of partying in my 20s. There's so much partying in my 20s. I don't care about doing it in my 30s. But I feel like partying is okay, but what are we celebrating? Like, what am I celebrating? I'm going out every weekend. What the hell am I celebrating? Popping bottles, doing all these things. And I used to do that. I used to blow so much money. I spent millions, you know, just doing stupid stuff, buy the jewelry, cars, all these things. But now it took me to do it, and I got to teach it differently because I can't sit here and be ignorant to things that I know that's not going to be what's going to take you to the next level. What's going to take you to the next level is do the things that's going to be uncomfortable, and that's staying focused, that's staying relevant, and that's staying real educated in your business, because if you don't learn how to operate your business, somebody else will, and you will always have to call them for the answer. And guess what that does? That always make you behind the gun.
But we appreciate this. This
Yes.
has been amazing. I love it. I'm glad you came.
No, I'm glad that I got a chance
and
to
I can't wait to hear
finally
these
get up here on the way up. with Angela Yee.
other announcements.
Which you're going to come back to Wealth Wednesdays
Yeah.
to break, of course.
Oh, yeah, yes, I
And then
am.
when y'all do Real Housewives of Atlanta, you know, you can come up here and talk about it too.
I don't know nothing about that.
I tried. Okay.
Nice try. Thank you so much, Derrick.
No, thank y'all for having me.
We'll be
Thank
coming
you.
by for some cheesesteak since you
Thank
didn't
you.
bring us
Hopefully,
any.
you know, I'm being in New York soon. You know, I'm franchising, so.
I'm sure
Okay,
you
I
will.
love
Let us
that.
know. Let us
I
know.
will.